A Fenway neighborhood is becoming a magnet for a conversion to more profitable short-term rentals. At a community meeting last night, residents and activists said the result is more people in search of regular housing are being priced out. Activists hope to slow down the trend through regulation by the city and the state.
My
family's been living here for over 30 years, basically because they want to make more profit. They pushed the first floor tenant out and then me. And then, of course, it's very upsetting because it was hard for me to find a place to live. And that now we know that in Chinatown, within the border of Chinatown, there's a lot of Airbnb.
A lot of the folks in the resident associations that I represent are actually happy Airbnb users. People love going to other cities and staying in Airbnbs. But when you find your own neighborhood has entire streets where buildings are nothing but Airbnbs, you lose that neighborhood flavor. People feel as if there's not the cohesiveness that you'd expect. And the worst thing of all is that we are losing our housing rental stock. And that means a lot of people won't be able to afford to live in the city.
Under the current situation in Boston, where there's really no zoning restrictions, so anybody can come in and buy a building in a residential district and convert it to short-term rentals, they're relying upon public services paid for by the taxpayers to do things that, if they were a hotel, if they were regulated as a hotel, would be paid for by the owners themselves. So in that sense, they're economic free riders.
People who are taking buildings that were meant to be affordable housing and they're converting them to full-time Airbnb, and that's driving the rents up for people who've lived here for years. So we have this issue of displacement that you mentioned, where there are people who want to make money and there are people who've lived here for 30 years and want to stay near their job and family, and they're often the losing side in that battle.
In addition to pushing up housing costs for everyone, the fewer long-term residents there are in a neighborhood, the less people there are there to be involved in the neighborhood, to sweep the sidewalks and to vote and to get involved in political activities and social activities and neighborhood activities. And so it does change the neighborhood for everyone who lives there. The more and more units that are leased to short-term tenants versus the long-term tenants.
Airbnbs or short-term rentals are taking up potential housing stock that could be housed for people that want to be invested in the neighborhood, want to stay in the neighborhood. And if you have a limited number of supply that's on the market in the neighborhood, then obviously that does change the rental standpoints in the rental market. I think we've seen that, that definitely has taken a hit over the last couple of years in a lot of these downtown neighborhoods.